Revealed how a heartwarming moment with my daughter-in-law transformed our lives in 30 days. The summer air tingled with laughter, sunlight dappling the streets as children chased each other, giggling beneath the blossom-laden trees. Claire stood on her porch, cradling a glass of sweet tea, watching the neighborhood come alive with the aroma of grilling hamburgers. It had always been perfect until Jenna came along. Her son Mark's new wife was an artist, vibrant and free-spirited, contrasting starkly with Claire's own steadfast traditionalism. With each encounter, Claire felt the divide grow, teetering between frustration and concern. Jenna's laughter rang through the air like a melody, and Claire couldn't help but grimace at the differences. A dreamer, she'd thought. Each splash of paint colorful in Jenna's world collided fiercely with Claire's belief in structure and stability. When Jenna first suggested they work together on the community art project that cropped up amid an economic crisis, a way to revitalize their struggling town, Claire cringed. It felt frivolous when so many were suffering. Yet, she couldn't say no. Family was everything. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As they started their work, Claire's simmering skepticism turned into overt disagreement. "We need something practical, Jenna," she'd voiced one afternoon, her heart racing in frustration. Jenna's eyes sparkled with passion, undeterred by Claire's icy wall. Yet, with each brushstroke, Jenna poured her heart into the canvas, a glimpse of her soul that made Claire's chest tighten painfully. The first community art fair arrived, an event that buzzed with excitement and hope but also held the weight of buried dreams. As Claire walked through the crowd, mothers gathered, reminiscing about their own lost aspirations. And then it hit her. Memories rushed back like a tidal wave, reminding her of the dreams she abandoned. Claire gazed at the canvas Jenna had created. It wasn't just paint, it was a story. The scene at the unveiling was surreal. Claire watched as neighbors' eyes glistening connected with the message Jenna conveyed. The applause penetrated her heart, wrapping her in a cocoon of sorrow and regret. She felt pride for Jenna battling with the societal judgments that had been engraved in her heart. A feeling of shame washed over her. Then they faced each other, hearts pounding amidst a swirl of confusion. I don't understand," Claire whispered as the crowd faded into distant murmurs. Jenna stood tall, ready to defend the beauty of her world, fueled by a fire Claire had long forgotten. Claire trembled between acceptance and fear, contemplating whether her rigid beliefs would hold her back from embracing this vibrant art of life. The leaves fluttered in the cooling evening breeze, signaling change on the horizon. Would she find the courage to bridge the gap, or would the distance between them grow like shadows in fading light? The moment hung delicately, anticipation crackling in the air, as Claire's heart raced to find its rhythm amidst the complex songs of family and community. Claire's heart thudded in her chest. The applause of the crowd echoed in her ears, but all she could focus on was Jenna standing before her, a fiery spirit encased in shimmering colors that made the grayness of her own life feel more real than ever. Claire's mind raced. Could she truly connect with this whirlwind of energy that her son had chosen to marry? "Why can't you see it?" Jenna's voice broke through Claire's thoughts, urgent and pleading. "This isn't just about art. It's hope. It's a way to bring our community together. This town has felt so beaten down. It needs something to believe in." Claire opened her mouth to respond, to push back on the idea that beauty alone could fix real problems, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, she felt a swell of conflicting emotions: hope, resentment, yearning. She wasn't sure which was stronger. Jenna stepped closer, her expression changing from frustration to a softer understanding. "I get it. You worry about what's practical. I used to live that way too." Claire's eyes widened. She didn't know Jenna's past. "But art saved me. It pulled me through dark times. It gave me a voice. The weight of Jenna's words enveloped Claire. She didn't just see a daughter-in-law. Suddenly, she saw a woman who fought for her truth, someone who faced her own struggles and overcame them. Yet, Claire only felt further away from that path. She had buried her own dreams deep beneath layers of responsibility. I don't know how to feel about it, Claire finally admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. The vulnerable moment hung in the air, thick with unspoken words and shared burdens. Let me show you, Jenna said, her eyes lighting up with determination. Come to the studio with me tomorrow. You'll see how painting isn't just splashing colors. It's a release, a way to let everything out. Claire hesitated. The thought of stepping into Jenna's world made her stomach churn. But then she thought of that community project. She thought of her own unhappiness trapped within walls of practicality. What do I have to lose? She murmured, barely believing her own surrender. The next morning, sunlight streamed into Jenna's studio, illuminating the chaos of paints, brushes, and canvases scattered throughout the room. Claire stood at the threshold, her heart racing. Everything felt foreign. She felt like an outsider even in her own family. Jenna turned, smiling brightly, her paint-splattered apron proof of her enthusiasm. Ready? With a deep breath filled with uncertainty, Claire stepped inside the world of colors. Each item felt like an invitation to let go of control. She followed Jenna to a large canvas, the air thick with the smell of paint. Just let it flow, Jenna encouraged, handing Claire a brush. The vibrant colors awaited her, but Claire couldn't shake the hesitation. Watch this. Jenna dipped her brush in blue and danced it across the canvas, creating waves that splashed vibrancy against the stark white. The sight sparked something inside Claire, a flicker of longing for freedom. Could she do the same? Tentatively, Claire dipped her brush, the cool paint mixing with her own fear. Each stroke was a hurdle, a release, a small battle against the walls she had built. As colors blended together, something within her began to thaw, revealing the artist she had buried deep down. But just as the first hints of joy began to bloom within, a dark thought swept through her mind. Could this truly be the beginning of something beautiful, or merely a fleeting moment? The question loomed: could she embrace the chaos and creativity, or would she retreat back to her safe, structured life? As the colors collided on the canvas, Claire faced the most daunting question of all: was she ready to redefine herself and her own dreams, no matter the risk? The studio, alive with possibility, made her heart race with anticipation. Claire stood frozen, brush hovering above the canvas, her heart pounding like a drum. The colors of the paint swirled with tempting possibilities, and for a brief moment, she imagined that each stroke could chip away at the barriers she had constructed over the years. But fear whispered louder than hope, urging her to step back, to lean into the familiar, the safe. Jenna's laughter broke through her doubts, echoing through the studio like music. Come on, Claire. Let yourself go. It's just paint. With Jenna watching, Claire felt both exposed and invigorated. Just paint, she muttered under her breath. It sounded so simple, yet felt like leaping off a cliff without knowing if the net would catch her. Inhaling deeply, she finally let herself fall. The brush met the canvas, and the blue paint spread like wildflowers in spring. There was a fearlessness in the way Jenna painted, no hesitation, no second-guessing. Each swoop and glide of color felt like a release as Claire began to breathe through her strokes. See? That's it. Jenna cheered, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. Let your emotions guide you. Your brush is a part of you. Just trust it. As Claire mixed the bold reds and yellows into the blue, a warmth unfurled in her chest, a complex blend of exhilaration and vulnerability. She painted for her son, for Jenna, for the life she had put on hold. Despite the swirling emotions, she could feel a sense of clarity emerging, like the calm after a storm. But just as she began to trust the process, a shadow slipped into the room. Claire turned to see her husband, Rick, standing silently at the door. His expression was unreadable, eyes darting from the chaotic paint-splattered canvas to Claire's focused face. "What's going on here?" he asked, skepticism lacing his voice. Claire's heart sank. What would he think? Surely he would see this as another one of Jenna's unrealistic flights of fancy. She took a breath, readying herself to defend the choice she had made to be here, in this moment. It's about finding a new way to connect. Rick, she began, searching for words that would make sense to him as they had to her. Jenna believes art can help our town heal. And I'm starting to believe it too. Rick crossed his arms, his gaze shifting back to the canvas. But it's just paint, Claire. It won't fix what's broken. The doubt in his voice stirred shadows of insecurity in her heart. But at that moment, clarity washed over Claire. Art was more than just colors on a wall. It was her voice. It was her truth. It's not just about fixing things, Claire asserted, her voice steady despite the tremor inside. It's about expression. It's about hope. If I can start here, then maybe I can find a way to reconnect with everything else I've lost. She'd never spoken so openly about her feelings, and the release was both terrifying and liberating. For the first time, Claire looked at her husband with resolve, waiting to see if he would really listen. Rick shifted, his expression softening for just a moment before the walls went back up. I just don't want you to get hurt by chasing a dream that may never pan out, he replied, uncertainty clinging to his words. Jenna stepped up beside Claire, her presence grounding. Art isn't about the end result. She gestured to Claire's canvas. It's about the journey, and Claire deserves to take this journey. The two women stood together, united in purpose. Claire felt a flicker of courage push against her doubt. Would Rick ever understand? Or would he always see this as just a passing phase? As they faced him, the air in the studio crackled with intense emotion. Claire realized she stood on the precipice of something profound, a chance to redefine not just her relationship with art, but with her family as well. Would Rick choose to walk beside her through this journey? Or would he retreat back into the safety of their carefully designed lives? The questions hung there, heavy with potential, as the room filled with the vibrant colors of possibility. Claire's brush danced across the canvas, driven by a need to translate her emotions into color. Each stroke felt like a heartbeat, and in that moment, the world around her faded. The vibrant blues and fiery reds twisted together, transforming the chaos in her mind into something tangible. Just let it flow, Jenna urged, stepping back to admire the progress. Claire could hear the excitement in her voice. It was a sound she had almost forgotten, pure, unfiltered joy. Look at that, Jenna nodded toward the canvas. You're letting your heart guide you. It's beautiful. But Claire's gaze remained locked on Rick, whose silence felt like a chasm between them. Rick? She ventured, probing the air around him as if it could repair their disconnect. Are you really serious about this? He glanced back at the chaotic canvas, then returned his gaze to Claire. It looks messy. Her heart sank momentarily before reigniting with determination. Messy can be good, she countered, unsure but hopeful. It's honest. It's real. Rick shifted, his arms uncrossed slightly, as if her words were floating towards a part of him he hadn't yet acknowledged. That's fine if it makes you happy. But Claire, this is art we're talking about. It doesn't fix emotional wounds. Claire felt a surge of frustration but contained it. You think I believe this will solve everything? That things will be perfect if I just throw paint around? Maybe, he replied bluntly, a hint of worry creeping into his voice. She inhaled. The studio smelled of wood and paint, a blend that felt both foreign and comforting. It's about more than just fixing things. It's about finding myself again. Do you see that? Rick's brow furrowed, and she could tell he struggled to grasp the urgency in her words. And if it doesn't work out? If this is just another whim? With Jenna beside her, Claire felt the warmth of solidarity, pushing back against Rick's doubt. What if it does? What if this is the beginning of something we never expected? Silence wrapped around them tightly. Claire's heart raced. This was her moment to stand firm. Art allows me to express what I feel inside. I don't want to lose myself in what we've built together. I need this. Don't you see? And in that stillness, a glimmer of understanding flickered across Rick's face. His walls seemed to soften, if only just a little. I get it. I do. But? Claire urged, each heartbeat echoing with a mixture of hope and fear. But I don't know how to support you in this, he admitted, his tone vulnerable, revealing layers of concern. Claire took a step closer, narrowing the space that had felt endless moments before. You can be here. Just be here. That's all I need. Jenna clapped her hands gently. That's a start. Rick looked at Claire, and for the first time in a long while, the connection felt tangibly real. Okay, he finally said, a hint of resolve framing his voice. If you believe in this, then I'll try. For you. The air shifted. Hope mingled with uncertainty, but it was there a bridge starting to form. As Claire returned to her canvas, she felt lighter, ready to embrace whatever followed. Her brush resumed its rhythm, each stroke igniting a spark of enthusiasm within her soul. The journey's just begun, Jenna chimed in, stepping back to watch. And it's going to be beautiful, Claire. But as Claire lost herself in painting, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was shifting, something beyond herself. What if this was the catalyst they all needed to face deeper issues lurking just beneath the surface? Was Rick truly prepared to walk this path together, or would the weight of their unspoken fears pull them back into darkness? The colors swirled vibrantly, but the shadows of doubt remained, lingering like whispers waiting to be addressed. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a warm, golden hue into the studio. Claire dipped her brush into a mix of violet and deep green, letting the colors collide on the canvas. For the first time in ages, painting felt like flying. Each stroke released a trickle of weight she hadn't realized she was carrying. I think that's it, Claire, Jenna said, her voice breaking through Claire's blissful trance. She tilted her head, examining the canvas. You're breathing life into it. Claire smiled, but her gaze drifted back to Rick. He stood a few feet away, arms folded, watching her every move with an intensity that made her heart race. What do you think? She asked tentatively, hoping for something that would mirror Jenna's enthusiasm. Rick opened his mouth but hesitated, the tension hanging thick in the air. It's better than before, he finally managed. The words were gentle, but didn't carry the warmth she craved. She clenched her jaw. Better? What does that even mean? He sighed. I mean, you're starting to show yourself. That's important. Show myself? The frustration bubbled up again. This isn't just about showing. It's about feeling. Claire stepped closer, her voice rising slightly. I'm finally expressing something. You need to understand that. He rubbed his temples, irritation crossing his features. It's just, I don't know what to do with all this emotion. It's messy and it's not practical. And neither are we right now. Claire shot back, her voice a mix of pain and passion. How can we expect everything to be tidy and perfected when we're a mess? Silence enveloped them. The air was thick with tension, yet Claire felt a fire igniting within her. This was more than just paint and color. This was their relationship, their lives streaked with chaos, yet yearning for beauty and understanding. What if I want to embrace the mess? She pressed, eyes blazing. What if I want to leap into the color and vulnerability instead of tiptoeing around it? Rick's face softened for a moment, revealing a glimpse of his struggle. I'm just scared, Claire. I've seen too many things fall apart when people let all their emotions run wild. The vulnerability in his voice struck her like a soft rain. She stepped closer, the unspoken distance between them shrinking. I get that. But if we don't embrace each other's colors, how will we ever truly know each other? I'm painting my heart out here, can't you at least meet me halfway? Rick's eyes searched hers, a storm brewing behind them. What if you get lost in this? What if you forget about us? Claire hesitated, the weight of his words settling in her chest. I'm terrified too, but I need to do this. For me. And if you want, for us. He looked at the canvas, then back at her. Something shifted. A crack in his defenses? Okay, he whispered, almost as if he was testing the words on his tongue. Let us try. Together. A rush of relief washed over her, but it felt fragile. Really? You'll be here as I explore this? Yeah. The word hung between them, heavy yet promising. They shared a moment of silence, tension hanging in the air like paint waiting to dry. Claire returned to her work, feeling a spark reignite within her. With each stroke, she channeled the uncertainty and desire for connection straight into the canvas. But as she worked, a thought crept into her mind. Could their tentative steps towards understanding lead to deeper cracks in their relationship? What if the act of revealing her vulnerability brought to light buried truths neither of them were prepared to face? The brush continued to move, colors colliding and blending, embodying both chaos and hope. Claire wondered, as she painted, if the beauty of this moment would be enough to hold their fragile connection together, or if it would expose fractures that ran too deep. What lay ahead in their journey to uncover secrets that might change everything? Claire took a step back, her heart pounding in rhythm with the strokes she was laying down. The colors danced together, swirling and pulsating as if they had a life of their own. She felt ecstatic, like a phoenix rising from the ashes, and yet a sliver of doubt crept into her heart. "Are you okay?" Jenna asked, her voice softening. Claire tore her gaze from the canvas, focusing on her friend. "Yeah, just lost in thought. Looks like a storm brewing in there." Jenna smiled lightly. "It's good. Keep going." The studio felt like a cocoon, wrapping them in an embrace overwhelmingly gentle yet charged with tension. Claire loved how her emotions poured into the canvas, but part of her was terrified about Rick's reaction. Had she not just begged him to meet her halfway? What if he couldn't? She glanced in Rick's direction. He stood uncomfortably, watching her. The uncertainty on his face tangled her stomach into knots. She wanted to pull him closer into her world. "Rick, come over here," she called, waving her paint-smeared hand. It was reckless, but it felt right. Slowly, he approached. "You sure?" He shifted his weight, as if unsure of what to do. "Yeah, I want you to see this." Claire positioned herself beside him and pointed to a swirling mass of colors. "This is where I started feeling free. Do you feel it?" He squinted at the canvas. "I see the colors, but do you feel it?" "In this mess, their release," she said, her voice rising with passion. "It's raw, it's real." She took a breath, hoping her words would reach him. "It's me." Rick studied the painting, his brow furrowing, revealing the conflict churning inside him. "But it's not just you, Claire. It's you and us. What if we can't handle it? What if it's too messy? We won't know until we try." Was vulnerability her only option? She could sense the wall between them, thick and tall, but she refused to let it define their future. "I need you to want this as much as I do." He blinked, those deep eyes searching hers. Maybe he was starting to unwind from the fear. "It's terrifying, you know." "Yeah, but who says we have to be perfect?" I guess his voice trailed off, and for a moment, neither of them spoke, just lost in the swirling chaos of the painting before them. As if the universe was replying to their unspoken words, the sound of the studio door creaked open. It was Jenna, returning with a small bag. "Hey, I brought some snacks. Thought it might help stir the creativity." "Perfect timing." Claire smiled, grateful for the diversion. "Oh, Claire, look, maybe you can draw inspiration from whatever this is." Jenna chuckled, pointing at Claire's wild brushstrokes. Claire laughed a genuine sound, rather than the strained laughter she'd offered earlier. Rick held that thought before finally cracking a smile. "Maybe it's the best snack we could ask for," he said, easing into the atmosphere of warmth that Jenna created. As they shared laughs, the tension seemed to dissolve briefly, the air lighter. But as they sat together, munching on crackers and cheese, Claire felt waves of anxiety wash over her once more. Would Rick surrender to this wave of vulnerability, or would it crash down harshly around them? "Claire, tell me something," Rick started, his tone shifting from playful to serious. "What if opening up leads us to the one thing we're both afraid of?" What if? That word hung heavy in the air. Teeth clenched, she gazed at him, wondering if they were both brave enough to find out. What if we find out together? Silence loomed, thickening around them. Was it too much to hope for? In that moment, Claire realized the journey ahead might challenge everything they knew, and she couldn't shake the feeling that the next brushstroke would change everything. But at what cost? Jenna broke the silence first, her eyes sparkling with a mischief that made Claire smile. "Hey, why don't we turn this into a group project? Let us paint something together." Rick raised an eyebrow, skepticism lacing his voice. "Group project? In this chaos? Claire bit her lip to keep from laughing. The idea sounded wild, but in that moment, it felt right. Why not? We can layer our colors over each other's. It could be interesting. Rick glanced at the canvas before them, a heart full of uncertainty. Interesting is one way to put it. Or magical. Jenna chimed in, bouncing on her toes as if to spur him into action. Claire watched Rick's tension shift. She could see the faintest hint of a grin tugging at the corner of his mouth. All right. What is the worst that could happen? With newfound determination, Claire poured a splash of bright blue and yellow onto a palette. Let us start where we feel bold. Jenna was quick to mix colors, a whirl of reds and oranges swirling into the blue and yellow. It felt like a celebration, like a bridge being built between her chaos and Rick's uncertainty. As they painted, laughter echoed in the studio. Rick's brow unfurrowed, and every brushstroke began to release the tight grip of doubt. Claire caught a glimpse of him adding a streak of deep purple, bold and vibrant, his style emerging alongside hers. See? Claire said, glancing back at him. You're starting to feel it. He flicked his brush playfully, dotting paint onto her cheek. All right, but don't blame me if my colors steal the show. The playful banter had transformed the energy in the room, dusting away the heaviness. Claire lost herself in the rhythm of their partnership, blissfully blending colors and creating something extraordinary together. But as they grew more entwined in the laughter, Claire felt the weight of her earlier thoughts creeping back. This felt good, so good. Yet that nagging worry resurfaced. What was on the other side of this joy? Would it still be there when the paint dried? Can we get serious for a second? Rick's voice sliced through her reverie, jarring her back to the moment. Seriously? Claire grinned, only half joking, unsure whether to be playful or take him seriously. His expression shifted, eyes more somber. You know I appreciate you pulling me in today. It's easy to dismiss moments like this. Easy to run from vulnerability. Claire felt a rush, a mix of warmth and fear in her chest. But I can't live an easy life anymore, Rick. Neither can I. His voice was steady, a breath of conviction. I just want to make sure we're both willing to take that step to really see each other. In that moment, paint being flung onto the canvas became more than just art, it became a mirror reflecting their trust. The swirling patterns before them seemed to mimic the complexities of their hearts. You know what I want? I want no pretense, Claire replied. Just us in all our colors. Agreed, Rick said, nodding. Let us find out what that means. As they stepped back to observe their creation, colors collided in a beautiful mess. It was chaotic yet exhilarating, just like the journey they were on. But deep within, Claire still felt a flicker of fear. Would once this work seem beautiful still fit their shared path? Or were they both standing at the edge of a storm, unprepared for the downpour ahead? Softly, Jenna added, "This is incredible, but I feel like we're missing a piece of the puzzle. Something we haven't addressed yet." The air instantly thickened with anticipation. Claire exchanged worried glances with Rick just as a knot formed in her stomach. What did Jenna see that they didn't? They stared at the painting, and Claire couldn't shake the feeling that the biggest revelation was yet to come. The canvas pulsed with life, each color mingling like the unspoken fears and hopes in the room. Jenna's words hung in the air, heavy yet inviting, drawing Claire deeper into thought. What were they missing? I can feel it too, Claire murmured. Like there's something just under the surface. Rick stepped forward, his expression thoughtful. Maybe it's about us, everything we're holding back. We're painting, but what about the feelings that led us here? Claire swallowed hard. The paint-brightened studio felt suddenly small, the laughter echoing like distant memories. She stared at the canvas, where bold strokes intertwined with hesitations. Had their laughter really masked the deeper questions? Jenna leaned against the easel, arms crossed. Vulnerability, right? You two just touched on it. What is the real risk here? Rick rubbed the back of his neck, a nervous habit Claire had come to recognize. I guess it's admitting this isn't just fun. It's stepping into something real. Exactly. Jenna's voice was like a gentle nudge. This painting could symbolize more than colors. It's an expression of where you are as people together. Claire's heart raced. Are we ready for that? She asked softly, not just to Jenna but to Rick too. He met her gaze, and she could see uncertainty, but also something else, determination. If we're not, we will be. We have to let it out, Claire. All of it. The studio seemed to fade as they locked eyes. Claire felt an electric pull, a connection that buzzed beneath the crowded surface of both their lives. They were both standing on the edge, ready to dive, but what if they fell into something they couldn't control? Jenna interrupted her spiraling thoughts. Okay. Let us take a bold step then. What if we name this painting? It could capture what we're really feeling. Claire shifted her weight, the question shifting the ground beneath her. Name it? Like what? How about unmasked? Rick suggested, cautiously. That sounds just about right, Jenna said, her enthusiasm infectious. This is your chance to lay it all out on the canvas. The walls seemed to close in as Claire wrestled with herself. Unmasked? She echoed. What if they dared to reveal too much? Rick shrugged, a slight smirk breaking through. You always said you wanted no pretense. This is your chance. Claire threw her brush down, the splash of color exploding like a firework. Fine, she exclaimed. But we need to be honest. Each of us has to contribute something we're scared to say out loud. Jenna raised her eyebrows, intrigued. That's the spirit. Who is going first? Rick took a deep breath, his posture changing as he reflected. Okay, I'll start. I've been scared to connect, scared of rejection. I thought I could keep things light, but Claire felt heat rise in her cheeks. What was it about his voice that made her heart pound? He locked eyes with Claire. But I want more. I want us to matter to each other. A silence fell, heavy with truth. Every heartbeat echoed as Jenna watched wide-eyed. Claire felt her throat tighten. I've been terrified to let someone in since everything fell apart before. It's just so hard to trust. But with you, Rick stepped closer, his expression softening. With me, you can be yourself. The weight of the world had shifted, revealing a path not just for the painting, but for their relationship, too. Jenna's voice broke the moment again. This is your turning point, you know? You can face it together. Suddenly, the studio felt like a sanctuary. The colors, the laughter, and the rawness of emotions fused into something beyond just art. But as they shared their fears, the question loomed larger. Would this newfound transparency bring them together or tear them apart? Claire's heart raced with a mix of hope and anxiety. Rick took a deep breath as he opened his mouth, ready to reveal yet another layer of his heart. And there's something else I need to tell you. The air thickened again, filled with the weight of his unsaid words. Claire braced herself, unsure of what might come next. Rick's gaze bore into Claire's, an intensity that swept away the surrounding chaos of paint tubes and splattered colors. The brush in Claire's hand was still, echoing the pounding of her heart. She could sense the gravity of his next words, as if the entire studio held its breath, waiting for the weighty confession. What I'm about to say, it matters, he finally said, his voice low. I should have said it before. I needed to be brave. He paused, a flicker of vulnerability passing through his eyes. I've liked you for a long time, Claire. Like, really liked you. And I haven't known how to say it. The world collapsed and expanded, and Claire's breath caught in her throat. Liked her? How long had he harbored those feelings? Jenna looked between them, her eyes wide with surprise. She stepped back, giving them space, but sensing this moment was theirs alone. No way, Claire managed to croak out, her mind racing like a storm at sea. You liked me? Since when? Pretty much since the moment you walked into my life, he admitted. The words flowed over them, warm and enveloping like the wash of the sunset's glow. I thought we were just friends. I didn't know how to risk losing that, but seeing you here, it feels like this is the moment to stop pretending. The tension hung like a taut string, vibrating with possibilities. Claire stared back, wrestling with a flurry of emotions. She was shocked, but deep down, his confession sparked a flicker of hope. I thought it was just me. I've liked you too, Rick. The syllables felt foreign yet liberating as they escaped her lips. I was worried I'd ruin everything we had. I thought it was easier to pretend. Rick stepped over to her, a smile breaking through his uncertainty. So we're both scared? Good to know I'm not alone in this. The tension shifted, and laughter bubbled up surprisingly between them. Jenna grinned, her excitement contagious, yet her presence felt like a faint echo in their newfound moment. "Look at you two," she chimed in, hands on her hips. "This is what I was hoping for. Can't you see? This painting is the start of something amazing." As Claire and Rick held each other's gaze, she could feel everything click into place. The fears, the insecurities, the laughter, they were all colors in their shared canvas of life. Yet, a sudden wave of panic crashed over her. What if this new revelation changed everything? What if they couldn't transition from friends to something more? "Wait, we're jumping into deep waters here," Claire said, pulling away just enough to look at him seriously. "Can we handle this? What do we do now?" Rick nodded, his expression softer now, reflecting a mix of excitement and apprehension. "We take it one brush stroke at a time. Let's keep being honest and vulnerable." "We've already started, haven't we?" Claire felt warmth unfurl in her chest, comforted by the thought of navigating this uncertainty together. "You're right. I'm willing to try, but it's all new to me. I don't want to lose you, Rick." His response was immediate. "You won. This is just the beginning. We're painting our future together, remember?" The room pulsed with color and hope as they resumed their positions at the easel, both of them ready to contribute their truths to Unmasked. But just as the moment felt solid, Claire's phone buzzed on the table. She reached for it, glancing down. Her heart dropped. The message was from her mother. It was a simple line, but it felt like a storm cloud hovering over their moment. "Can we talk? I need to discuss something important." Rick noticed her change in demeanor, his brow furrowing slightly. "What is it?" Claire hesitated, torn between the joy of this newfound clarity with Rick and the looming shadows of family expectations. How could she share this new, fragile start with the weight of her past pressing in? It's nothing," but the worry was already taking root. Would the conversation with her mother shake this moment? Rick's voice softened, pulling her back into the present. "Whatever it is, we can face it together." Would she be brave enough? Claire's breath hitched as she looked at Rick. The warmth of his presence grounded her, a reminder of the light blooming between them. "You're right." The words poured out of her with newfound strength. "Whatever happens, we'll handle it together." The uncertainty still churned in her gut, but facing it felt lighter, just like the colors swirling on the canvas. She glanced back at the painting, a visual representation of their fears, hopes, and the tangled web of emotions they were starting to untangle. "Let's keep going," she said, raising her brush, her heart starting to flutter again with the thrill of creation. Rick nodded, his determination shining back at her. They leaned in, colors mixing, laughter blending into the palette of their lives. Each brushstroke felt like a commitment, a promise to firm up the connection that had started to bloom. But as they embraced the chaos of their artwork, another wave of anxiety surfaced. Claire forced herself to keep painting, but couldn't shake the thought of her mother's message. What was it about this moment that made everything else feel flammable? Rick, careful and considerate, looked at her with understanding, sensing her distraction. "Hey, do you want to talk about it?" he asked gently, brushing a streak of color across his canvas that mirrored Claire's swirling emotions. "No, not yet." She stepped back, her brush hovering over the canvas, heart racing. "I want to be present here first. Let me enjoy this with you for a moment." Jenna, seeing their intensity, chimed in, "You both are creating something beautiful. Let it be. The outside world can wait." Claire felt the swell of strength in those words, and in that space, she chose to let go of the weight, if only temporarily. They dove back into their shared creation, painting their truths onto the canvas, each stroke laced with laughter and hope. Suddenly, the studio felt alive, a reflection of their personalities merging, capturing both chaos and celebration. The mix of colors began to form a vision beyond what they had hoped for, offering a glimpse of a shared journey ahead. But the buzzing phone still lingered heavily in her pocket, a reminder that they weren't entirely free of the burdens outside of the studio. Claire's brush stilled again when Rick asked, "What's going to happen? I mean, after this?" His gaze was steady, giving space for her to speak her truth. "I think," she began, searching for the right words, "I think we keep creating. We keep exploring this together." With newfound confidence, She added bright yellow swirls, the colors vibrating with the essence of what lay ahead. But there will be bumps, and this connection is new for both of us. I'm okay with that, Rick replied, his voice firm. I just want to trust that we're building something that can withstand the chaos. As they locked eyes, a shared understanding blossomed. They were inviting risk and uncertainty, but what if that was what made it beautiful? We're stronger together than apart, Claire affirmed, feeling the warmth of possibility. Just then, Jenna broke the moment, her eyes sparkling. Okay, enough deep stuff. How about we make this a celebration? A last hurrah with paint before we wrap it up? Claire laughed, momentarily distracted from her swirling worries. You're right. Let us let loose. With renewed spirits, they began flinging paint, colors splattering across the canvas, laughter filling the air. In that momentary chaos, Claire felt lighter, the tension ebbing as they let creativity take them away. But as the laughter settled, the heaviness of her mother's message returned, and Claire knew that she had to face it. Rick, Jenna, can I ask something? I'm feeling compelled to prioritize my family and my own path. But part of me is scared of what that means for us. Rick's expression softened, and he leaned closer. We'll figure it out together, I promise. Just let me in, Claire. I want to. I really do. A smile spread across Claire's face, warmth flooding her heart. As the painting evolved into a vision of blurred lines and colors, she knew this journey would not be easy. But the beauty emerging gave her strength to face whatever came next. Standing side by side, with each brushstroke, they painted a future filled with possibility. The radiant colors spoke where words sometimes stumbled. They stepped back to admire their work. Unmasked wasn't just a painting, it was the beginning of their journey. A journey full of love, creativity, and vulnerability. This moment felt perfect. Clarity washed over her, the heaviness of expectation faded, and she dared to embrace what was blossoming between them. I'm ready for anything, Claire whispered. Me too, Rick replied softly, squeezing her hand gently, a promise sealed in the colors splashed across the canvas. As they faced the vibrant artwork, a sense of excitement pulsed through Claire. Whatever lay ahead, family conversations, emotions, and challenges, they would navigate it together. And for the first time in a long time, Claire truly felt hope, a vibrant canvas stretched out before them, waiting to be filled in with their shared story. This was the moment they would cherish, and it was only the beginning. Don't miss out on more heartwarming stories and journeys like this one. You need to subscribe now to the channel so you're the first to know when our next adventure drops. Leave a like now to send this good vibe out into the world and support our algorithm. Comment below and let us know your thoughts on this ending. What emotions stirred in you? And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who you think need a sprinkle of inspiration today.